Would you say it's a yoga renaissance?
I think so. Something is happening in the world, and it's because of IT and travel and everything, where I was saying that Dharma has left India. It hasn't left India. It has spread from India and gone everywhere. The Dharma, this is in the world now. It's for everybody. Just like yoga went everywhere in the ancient world, you know, because it was universally applicable. It could be used by all language groups. All religious points of view could use yoga as the means to realize the ideals of their faith. Now it's gone in the contemporary world, just in the same way. That's where you come in, you see. It's a very vital time.
Yeah.
Mahesh and I met at university in 2003, and our friendship was immediately forged by our mutual desire to make our mark on the world. Our friendship hit an all-time low in 2011 when we planned to document the 6-month anniversary of the natural and nuclear disasters in Japan. The project collapsed when I took another opportunity, and Mahesh responded with, "We can be friends, but I'll never work with you again." We stayed in touch, and following a yoga retreat in February 2012, Mahesh had a new mission: to spark yoga's renaissance. Despite our volatile working relationship, and at the risk of retesting the limits of our friendship, my inner documentary maker was curious to understand if Mahesh was exploiting a popular multi-billion-dollar industry, or if there was a more altruistic cause. Was he doing it for the love of yoga, or simply for money?
You obviously knew me a couple of years ago, and I wasn't exactly the most stable, easy person to deal with kind of thing. That was a nightmare. But I think, like, for me, that is just like the biggest proof that it can, like, it does have this, the yoga is this universal force kind of thing. And as much as you might want to even like try and stop it, it's almost like you can't. Like, it's really quite exciting and terrifying at the same time. My first teacher is my mum. And mum taught for over 50 years. We had a rumpus room, she taught downstairs, and the classes were packed. All these women came, and even when I was doing it when I was 6 or 7, and even then I noticed that these women that finished the class, something had changed, something was different. Mark, I'd actually heard about him through my sister, but you know, he seemed really cool because he taught Ian Thorpe and Mick Fanning. And that's what I tell all my friends. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to learn yoga from the guy who taught Ian Thorpe and Mick Fanning, and they all like, oh, cool, that's not bad. Like, I get that. When I work with athletes, for example, like Ian Thorpe, I'm not going to make him a better swimmer, right? And Mick Fanning, I'm not going to make him a better surfer. But if you look at the levels, like, of working with yoga, the mind, the energy, the body, at their center, they're already the best in the world at what they do. So all I do is get themselves out of the way. So I keep their bodies balanced, I keep their energy system vital and high, and if there's any negative talk or difficulties, then we work with that. So that what's there just gets to happen unconsciously, automatically. Any time in my life when I've just been on fire, like when everything's just been working, it's just been when I've been practicing yoga. And not to say that it is yoga that's doing that, but the idea of practicing it and that commitment you make to practicing.
On his journey, Mahesh must choose between creating his own yoga money-making enterprise or selflessly spreading the benefits of the practice as tools of personal awakening. This challenge highlights the wider fundamental conflict that strikes at the heart of yoga.
Originally, I wanted to do it just to almost as a profession, to formalize the practice in my own life as a profession, so I'm teaching and making money from it. Teaching, that's why I'm going with Mark, because that sort of athletes, teaching it to high performance athletes, that's a good niche, I think. But then, especially after the weekend and going through my own suffering and that idea of intimacy, there's so much, there's so much more value. My goal is to be able to do this for myself, basically. And once I learn it for myself and understand it for myself, then I can see what's the best way I can start to share this with other people. If
there's an opportunity to do it. Because, I mean, there's no point in me trying to force yoga down people's throats or do it in a way that, you know, I might just make money from it just for the sake of making money.
Money is like breath, you know, you need it. It comes and goes. It's a basic flow, you know, it's part of the nurturing force of life. To understand that's what money is. Money is energy. Money is nurturing. And it must be used for that, to nurture humanity and not hoarded in greed and fear. The money doesn't work then. It doesn't even work for the people who have the money. You know, it doesn't work for the power structure. They're lonely. They're isolated in their piles of gold.
The commercialised pop yoga that's out there at the moment is, look, it's commercialised, it's watered down, it's bastardised, the whole thing. And that just becomes part of any system when it becomes westernised, but it turns full circle, right? Because there's so many people then have got to that level, and that thing is served in itself, where now they're going, well, what's next?
Yoga is not a power structure. It's not a business. It is personal intimacy with the given reality. And it's true that in that context there is absolutely sincere mutual affection between teacher and student. That has always been there. That's been the method of yoga.
We are taught from a very early age the lie that to be happy that we have to achieve X, right? And that X is something that's external to us. And your X might be, you know, my one true love. It might be $1 million. It might be to be the CEO of your company. You know, it might be to win a race. And, you know, schooling, government, parents, institutions, all these things keep teaching us that. Yoga says no. Yoga says that it's an inward journey. It says turn around, face the opposite way from the external and go inwards.
This yoga is intimacy with all ordinary conditions, including the source of all ordinary conditions. So it is intimacy with life, you know, intimacy with reality. That is a nurturing force in which everything is appearing. You know, that is yoga.
Yeah.
And it's easy, anybody can do it. This was the hallmark of Krishnamacharya's work, that anyone who wants to can do yoga.
Some of it will work for you and some of it doesn't, and what works for me won't work for you, won't work for whoever. But having that attitude of openness, that's when you really start to find the value. And that's something that, again, is this, you know, being open is just, it's such a valuable resource. You know, it's such a powerful, like, source of strength that you can always rely on to think any challenge that might come your way, you can just say, oh, as long as I'm open to it, and, you know, you sort of come at it from a place of love, you can deal with the challenge. Like, it'll just consume this, no matter how tough and negative it is, you know, it can just overpower it. You know, love conquers all kind of thing.
It grew up in the ancient world in your place, you know, and now it's gone everywhere. It's spread around the globe, and it's so special to me that, you know, one authentic Indian comes and gets this now in Sydney, Australia. You know, you don't necessarily have to be in India.
For yoga to be able to penetrate from, you know, thousands of years ago, like it was almost traveling through time to reach me at this point. That's probably not just a coincidence, you know. It's something that was it's a force. And if it's affecting me, like, I'm not very special, so it should affect everyone else. That same force. That for me is the Renaissance.
For Mahesh, his experimentation with yoga was the catalyst for a life-changing personal awakening, one which gave him happiness and the confidence to achieve his lofty dreams, including co-creating this film. The commitment to the practice has changed the lives of individuals and brought people together in meaningful relationships, and it is hoped that collectively this energy will transform communities the world over.